Well, inevitably, when you become a YouTuber, the clickbait issue comes up if you're really doing, quote, good content, or let's just get to it. So, I cover a lot with what's going on with growing up in Scientology and Aaron, but I try to maintain some consistency, unlike others. And again, I would say overall, his strongest videos were a few years ago where and again, granted, he was getting a lot of this information. He's not like a detective or anything, but he did some good exposés of Ashton and Danny Masterson, and to put it mildly, their very ugly legacy. Some stuff was a little borderline, but I'm like, okay, at least it was plausible. But yeah, it's really declined. And I don't even know what to make of this. It was just sort of like perplexing. So I want to try to be as fair as possible, though my judgment of the video is it's kind of a waste of time. So basically, Aaron is reading an article by Tom and just going through the article and just had this bizarre interpretation. And by the way, I have evidence for this, but if you want to become a channel member, I'll get into it very explicitly because it was just hilarious. So I'm just going to deal with the video itself. And this is how I understood it. So Tom put in an article that the movement, the anti Scientology movement, needs to refocus itself. Now, I'm not even going to get into his actual argument or article because it's not necessary because that wasn't what he was responding to. It seemed like Aaron was just projecting what he thought Tom was saying, and he read it in a kind of weird anti Aaron perspective. And that's what he was responding to. And he was begging his followers, saying, "Am I wrong here? Am I wrong here?" And let me be very clear here. I used to be a super fan, and I stopped being really in the chats, at least regularly, years ago because it was just becoming so hostile. At this point, it is full blown echo chamber, so it's kind of pointless to even be in his chat unless you're really a super hardcore follower because they will time you out or block you or whatever. In fact, I remember one time Aaron boasts that I think the official number is like 500 channels. He's blocked so many channels because it's very hard to cover now what he does without at least being a little critical. Even if the channel is not really focused on Aaron, it's like, well, yeah, he's acting like a bit of a donkey again. So I was like, let's not get involved with that. So who is Tom himself? Let's just provide context for people who are wholly new and are like, I'm still not. Who's Tom? Well, Tom showed up in Going Clear, and he did know Miscavige personally. So when he says David Miscavige did XYZ, he means it. So he was there right near the super evil dictator man, and he heard it from his own mouth, like this is what he said, this is how he acted. So obviously he has a lot of invaluable information how Scientology worked at the very, very top. And that was an additional thing with Aaron. He had like a huge chip on his shoulder because he wasn't in those rooms. Like Aaron, I think could be classified as an executive, right? He wasn't on the rock bottom, right? Like Nora, who likes to brag about how she's the proletariat or whatever. But Aaron did reach an executive status, never at the legendary Gold Base. It's the secret California hideout where Tom Cruise stayed. Yeah, there's entire articles, by the way. I also like that. People don't think I do any research. No, guys, I do research. You may not like my results, or you may say, well, I think you got it all wrong. Yeah, but I put an effort in. So anyway, Tom is sort of not like first generation or even old guard critic, but he sort of started voicing criticisms right late 2000s and 2000 teens. And more recently, he took a step back and he was very clear after Mike Rinder died saying, I'm not going to take over Mike Rinder's position. I'm not going to be that guy. But he just did the article, which seems to suggest he's going to try to be somewhere in between. He still wants to be active, but he's not really interested in kind of a leadership position. But Aaron took it really as this kind of declaration of war that somehow he, Aaron, and some other people on YouTube are being sharply criticized for distracting the movement and not really doing anything positive or anything substantive, which I agree with. But I don't think that's what Tom was saying in his article. So really, it was just Aaron, which he does nowadays. He's just talking to himself. He's reacting to himself and these alleged accusations, which granted makes sense, but I don't think Tom was doing anything like that. It just seemed like this is his thoughts, where the movement is, and he thinks it's kind of falling into a corrupt place and needs to be more focused. These are pretty obvious criticisms. That is about it. But Aaron just took it as a personal slight and offense that he was going after him and somehow trying to continue the evil Mike Rinder legacy without his permission. So let me spill the big tea for those not in the know. In terms of controlled opposition, listen, you may not believe this. I know it's a little extraordinary to believe, but this is Karen's boy, basically. Karen Delaclaire is clearly the person who controls, right? If not Aaron's channel directly, she sets the parameters. Like, just Google it yourself, guys. There are like almost zero videos critical of Karen within SBTV. They almost never talk about her. They're certainly never critical of her. She's where she is. She's the queen. Whether you like her or not, that's her position. And Aaron is continuing that narrative that we don't talk about Jeff or Karen except in a very positive way. That is the guardrail. So for Aaron to dream up this conspiracy that somehow the ghost of Mike Rinder is controlling Tom, okay, but Karen, who's still alive, is not controlling you. Yeah, it sounded pretty bizarre, pretty silly. I also like how ridiculous this sounds saying, oh, like me on YouTube, I'm not doing any real work. You literally just came back from vacation. Oh, also, you don't have a normal 9 to 5 job. What were you taking a vacation from? It's not like, oh, God, oh, ironic to solve or work, the channel, oh, my work, oh, and family obligations. Like, most of your kids are grown up. Like, you're actively committing adultery on your wife. You aren't even officially divorced. It's not like, oh, well, the separation divorce is taking away my time. Like, you don't really do anything for most of your day. In fact, it's insane. Like one of his videos, and by the way, this is a guy who copyright strikes people for the content in my YouTube and intellectual property. He literally just played someone else doing everything. Like this comedian Alex Stein is like, it's just him babbling away. Aaron put it on tape and it's like, there you go. It's mine now. Because he's Alex Stein. But he goes, you use my content. Oh. So, yeah, I'm not sensing what is the big deal here. The article was pretty plain. I mean, that's why there's not much to analyze. He's just saying, we just need to get back together and be more organized and united and stop Miscavige. Pretty inoffensive stuff. And Aaron's like, oh, the gold base is returning. But no, the Church of Uranus now represents the true voice of the people. The people united behind me, the champion, will not be defeated. And it's also strange because the last couple of videos, he's like assuring people, guys, there's no leadership. But the framework of this video is that his leadership is under question and being challenged. Like, he thinks this is like the Lion King or Black Panther, and Tom is apparently Killmonger, and he's being called out for some tribal code or like gladiator. They're going to be fighting in the ring, and like, he just put out an article. Like, this thing's like over an hour. We're just ranting and raving. I love that an hour passed, and of course, who showed up? Marilyn, to lend even more propaganda support. And we'll deal more with Marilyn on her own because that was also laughable. So then she puts out a stream, and guess who was the mod? The person with a wrench controlling things, and even got into the video. Oh, Aaron. So we did double whammy propaganda because it's like, no. The throne of Uranus will not be challenged. So this isn't like even Iraq, like, oh, what's that? It's a preemptive strike. We don't know if it's a threat. It's like a preemptive strike. And like, well, what was the challenge? It's like, oh, we need to be united. Oh, that's a threat to me. How is that a threat to you? It's like, okay, well, I mean, there's just many layers to this. I mean, I'm just laughing at him because at this point, Aaron does do a lot of what's known as lol cow content, but this is just like insane that he. And again, let me try to be nice. He's just being cynical. He just generates content for money. It's just totally cynical. I don't think so. This seems to be his actual real feelings that if he doesn't have everything under totalitarian control, somehow it's a threat to him. And Tom is apparently a very big threat because, he can't like do copyright strikes. He can't shut him up. It doesn't seem to have anything that's really that alarming on the guy, so it's sort of like he doesn't have any way to usually, right, when this happens, he tries to find something in people's backgrounds, just something to destroy their credibility. But apparently with Tom, it's like, well, not yet, but I'm sure that's going to come soon. Like, oh, let's look at your OSHA file and yada, yada, yada. That, it just seemed like he just made hours of content based on nothingness. There's no threat. I don't even think Tom dislikes him, but it's like, okay, I guess this is the new threat. We've gone from Mike to Claire to Tom. Who's the next threat? I guess Stitch. Stitch is a threat. He's not following the propaganda. Stitch is the new threat. I'd like to see a fight between Stitch and Aaron. That at least would be amusing. This was just a complete waste of time, unless you are that deep into the Church of Uranus and just want to be lost in his own psychopathology. At least in my humble opinion.